Good day, Life Notes listeners. Wherever you are on the globe, good day to you. If you are breathing, you know that we made it into 2021. And what a joy it is. What a joy it is to have made it this far, to have made it to see and experience another year on the calendar. Unfortunately, everyone can't say the same because many, almost a million worldwide people cannot say the same that they've made it living into 2021. So, people who if you're here today, we are so grateful for you because we know as was always stated from my youth, and I've heard so many times, people are truly here today and gone tomorrow. If that statement has never been more prevalent in our life and our society, is today that people are truly here today and gone tomorrow. Like people are legit walking around, they're talking to you, they're going about their lives, they're taking care of their family, they're building for their future, and then the next day they may be gone, or the next day they may be um, sick. So people are truly here today, gone tomorrow. So for those of us that are still here in the land of the living, breathing on this side, let's take a moment and just be so thankful for the time that we have and the ability to adapt during the year 2020. Let's really take a pause. Can you please, with me, just take a pause for a moment of reflection, of silent reflection for being able to get past and overcome 2020? All right. Yes, we did that. We pushed forward. We are still here. So thank you for sharing in that moment. My thoughts for this year, when I think about the fact that it's a new year, my thoughts for this year is comprised of several things, several questions that I ask myself and that I have forced myself to write down the answers to, that I would like for you to ask yourself several things. So, one is, what is it that you owe yourself? Now you're on the other side of 2020. So, what do you owe yourself? When I ask myself, hey, Keto, what do I owe me? What do you owe yourself? That's one question. Another would be, what is it that you owe God? I even ask myself, Keto, what do you owe God for being able to walk into 2021 with all of my sanity, hopefully, 2021 with all of my strength, and my family is still here. Everyone is doing well. What do I owe God for this miracle of 2021? You know, and the last thing is, what did 2020 teach me? So, what did 2020 teach you? Is a question that I propose that you answer for yourself. 2020 was a year that no one would ever forget. From my youngest kid, my youngest niece or nephew, 2021, they won't forget it. 2021, me and myself and my husband, my grandmother, as long as she lived, will never forget the year 2020. I said earlier, um, I said earlier that the year 2020, I know right now to this day, there are scripts being written. There will be many movies and TV shows and series birthed out of the events and the accounts of the year 2020 that we will be seeing it coming shortly. 2020 will actually need its own museum so that people can reflect and read and view the historical accounts that occurred in this 1 year. This 1 year. So, and not saying that, you should be so glad. Like today should be a day of gladness. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Today is a day of gladness. If you are alive, if you can gather your thoughts, if you can obtain a amount of peace and serenity, if you have monetary resources, regardless of how far your money stretch, how much money you have, you if you have any money, if you have a place to sleep, you should be so glad if you can come out of the elements of outside and don't have to sleep outside. You should be so glad and so proud of yourself for being able to get past a year where you were stretched so much out of your comfort zone, and you had to use such boldness to get from one day to the other. You should be so proud of yourself. You started a fresh year in 2020. I remember between 2019 and 2020, I was with my family. We were having a wonderful time. We were even dressed like we were dressing in the 90s. We had so much fun. And I remember that New Year's Eve, and we entered into 2020 with such glee and such happiness. And we were so ready. We was hyped. We were hyped up. We were so ready to receive every single good thing that could come our way. We were so excited. We gathered excitement, and we were ready because we were going to handle our business. We were going to fulfill our plans. We were going to accomplish some goals. We were going to just move in this life the way that it was intended for us to move, and we was going to check some things off the list. We were actually so ready because we were set to experience one of our dreams. We were so ready, so ready. And it is so amazing how things change, and it's so amazing what occurs in a short span of time, with all the preparations, with all the thoughts, with all the readiness that we had to accomplish our goals. Is so amazing how life can change from moment to moment, from second to second. Because when we look back over that time, we see that in January, we had rumors. No, let's go back. November, December, there were rumors of this deadly virus overseas. Come January, it was said to have slowly started trickling in to our United States. And then, boom, we were focusing on that. We were seeing so many drastic videos. Some were made up, some were real, but we're focused on that it is a virus that's coming into our country now, and it's coming into many countries now, and it's very deadly. So we're focused on that. Then, boom, one day we got the news that an unexpected accident had killed our beloved basketball superstar Kobe Bryant and his only daughter Gianna. So then it was just a shock of that occurred across the states of Kobe being gone. And then by March, the floodgates just let loose on the COVID outbreak in the United States. It was in full swing. And then came the lockdowns. I was introduced to my first quarantine in my lifetime. Lockdowns, quarantine started. And the whole idea of the lockdowns and the quarantines was that if we can stay and shelter in place for at least 30 days, and if it even stretched out for 1 or 2 months, that after that we would be able to return to our normal life. So then federal and local governments started saying that non-essential businesses had to close, and Many businesses are non-essential, so we was left without our stores, our entertainment, whatever we were doing. They even closed public parks and beaches. All these things had to close, and the schools closed down. Universities had to immediately implement plans to empty the campuses. And who could ever think that there would be no basketball, no football? Many sports had to cease playing. High school students that had worked for grade 0 to 12th grade playing a particular sport so they can actually get scouted and seen and propose scholarships. They had to stop playing because sports had to cease. So all of that, I remember that no one knew how the high school and the college students would even graduate. Because remember, graduations usually occur in May and June, and they had to immediately close the schools in March. So even our daughter, who was graduating from college, who did graduate from college in May, but she was sent home from school in March. And then no one knew anything because the schools had to quickly close for a moment and pause and meet and gather to figure out how to teach students and how to allow the students to get the information they needed to even graduate on time. And then did the students even have the resources to be able to learn digitally? Did they have the technology in their homes that was needed to help them? How was a graduation going to occur when we were on lockdown? So it was wild. Many students on all levels did not have technology, the schools on all levels, from elementary to high school to college. Many schools, public and private, did not have the technology budget or the equipment to be able to educate all the kids, all the students online. Even the teachers, whoo, poor teachers. Teachers have really been overcomers this past year. Many of the teachers did not even know how to engage and connect with a virtual environment, the virtual only classroom, how to keep the kids engaged, what rules do they implement in a virtual world. So I give all teachers a hand clap, a kudos for the circumstances and scenarios, the quick learning that they had to do to be able to accommodate students who some were stronger with online learning and some were very weak. So kudos to every single teacher, every teacher you know out there. Give them a hand clap, give them buy them coffee, buy them a piece of chocolate, do something special for every teacher. I laughed because I joked with one of my sisters a year or so ago, and I've said this to her several times due to the way that schools are managed, especially public schools are managed and some private as well. Um, and even with the lack of school resources that are in poverty stricken areas, the lack of funding, the difference in funding for schools in poverty stricken areas, and the educational environment as a whole, along with the curriculum that is being taught that does not teach truth regarding life. It doesn't teach truth regarding history, racism, and schools even really pushing and promoting gay relations. So I told her that, hey, after a while, we're going to have to homeschool our children. We're going to have to pull them out of these institutions and homeschool. We're going to have big homeschool. I used to joke with her that we're going to have big homeschool connections and we're going to end up having, full sports, and we're going to, they're going to be at this house one day and they're going to have a whole schedule. That house another day and that center this day and that center that day. We're going to end up having a whole bus network, a shuttle network to and from places. I would joke with her about that because I used to tell her, as believers, we're gonna end up the schools, they're not getting no better. They're gonna get a little worse. So we're gonna end up having to pull our kids out. So I was joking about that, but I didn't even imagine that we would be homeschooling so quickly that even without our deciding to transition our children from in class to homeschooling, we were homeschooled really quick. One day the kids were in class and the next day they won't. Then parents immediately had to figure out how to do math. They had to figure out how to do biological sciences. Goodness gracious. They had to figure out how to write English papers and correct grammatical errors. Our kids been talking this way for years at home, and we just assumed that they were doing better at school. But once we read them papers, we realized they didn't. So we had to fix grammatical errors, all the while keeping your kids awake. All the while when they're in their slippers, their PJs, their house outfits, what we call Zoom outfits, all the while they're sitting at your kitchen table, or they're on the couch, or they're at their desk. Who knew that we would be homeschooling so quickly? I'm telling you. But look what we can accomplish. Look what we accomplished, though. Look, everything, all the changes that took place. We are quite an extraordinary people. You should pat yourself on the back because look what we accomplished, and we made it through to the other side of 2020. Quite extraordinary. So that is quite amazing. Quite amazing. Because when you look at it, months started to pass and we were still restricted. We thought this was going to be like a 30-day thing. Then we were still restricted. Businesses was closing, jobs was laying off, and the economy was struggling. It was struggling. The government pinched in a little bit. They came in with some rent relief, not much mortgage relief, but lots of rent relief. And people didn't have to pay their rent for months. We had stimulus checks, and people got a whole hunk of unemployment money. Evictions were halted, and some utility companies didn't even cut off your utilities if your bill was high, all because they wanted to help stimulate economy that's continually to weaken. So there was a little moments of financial reprieve for many people, but still the death tolls reached a number to me personally that I still cannot fathom. I still cannot grasp grip my mind to think and to conceive that we are missing. We came into 2021 missing almost a million people. We came into 2021, even in the United States, missing or without 300,000 people because they died while they were positive for COVID. And still counting, those numbers are still racking up. It's just unbelievable, really unbelievable. We even lost one of our well-known contributors to film with the death of our beloved Black Panther. So the year 2020 marked, just think about this though. The year 2020, it has so many ups and downs. And one of the things is that it marked the greatest movement and demand for civil rights and equality since the 1960s. One of the greatest movements and demand for equality since the 1960s civil rights movement. This country have suppressed so many shameful killings. And because we were all at a moment where we were able and were mandated to shelter in place, and we had technology to see what was happening in the world watched the death of George Floyd. And that ignited a rally cry. It pulled the scab off of an unhealed sore, unhealed wound. And people got fed up. They got fed up with racism and social injustices, and they took to the streets to demand change. Older people took to the streets. Babies, little kids took to the streets to demand equality for everyone, and trickles of change took place, and change is still taking place. Protests, they're not as strong as they were, but protests still linger around because the social injustices still rears its ugly head. The injustices in the criminal system still rears its ugly head. The injustices in education still rears its ugly head. The injustice in police brutality still rears its ugly head. The injustice in policing, the injustices in equal employment still rears its ugly head. The injustice in pay still rears its ugly head. But small changes have occurred, and we are still in need of a forward movement. My goodness. So much. All of this is 2020. All of this is 2020. All of this is 1 year. Like, who would even imagine the church? It blew my mind. Who would even imagine the church being closed on Easter Sunday? Oh my goodness. No need for any new Easter shoes. No need for any new Easter bows and barrettes and the Easter bonnets. No need for the new lace, the new dresses, the little suits for the guys. No need for new heels for mom. No need for a new suit for dad. No need for Easter Sunday service. Christmas Eve services, no Christmas morning service. And I tell you, who would ever have thought that the New Year's Eve watch services would be virtual? Who would ever imagine? African Americans have been looking forward to the New Year's Eve watch service. That is, as an African American, the New Year's Eve watch service is a very prominent activity in our history. The New Year's Eve watch service, where some slaves went hoping that they will be free once the clock strikes 12 in the new year. New Year's Eve watch services, such a prominent part of our history as African Americans, and it was actually virtual this year. Like, no one sat all those years, hundreds of years, people sitting in the pews hoping for a change in the new year. Now everyone was sitting at home on their, if you live in a place where the temperature is great, you probably could have sat on your porch in your sunroom. No, not much sun, but in your home period. You could have been driving in your car and listening to the New Year's Eve watch service. Who would have ever imagined that? Hmm. Well, I ask you, where do you lie in reference to the forward movement that occurred in the fight for equality in 2020? It's 2021. It's a new year. So where do you lie in the movement for social justice? Do you even consider the lives of others still, or their need for the basic right to live a life unfearful and to live a life with equal opportunities to obtain success and equal opportunities to obtain wealth and good health care? Everyone should have the equal opportunity to have good health care. So I guess one question I pose, another question that I propose to you is, have you grown cold to justice for other people? Have, like, the months gone by, the summer's gone, protests are dying down. Have the months gone by and you went back to thinking about just you and your household? You, just you and your children, or just you and your spouse, just you and your dog. That- Is that your only concern now? As far as you stretch yourself, is for you and your children. If so, if that's where you are right now, just remember that at one part of everyone's life, you will need someone to stand with you. At one part of your life, you're going to need someone to go to bat for you, to battle for you, to stretch their arm out to you, to be there for you, to console you, to give you comfort at one part of your life. So, can you make up your mind and your heart to be determined in this year, in 2021, to continuously seek to pay that forward? So, going back to the awesomeness of being in 2021, I'm super excited. We've crossed over into 2021. I have a new beginning. You have a new beginning. You have a new moment. You have a breath of fresh air. Just breathe in and exhale. A new day has dawned for you, and a new day has dawned for me. So please, please, please be determined, be set, be focused on living out all the things that you had planned for 2020, but become bolder, become wiser, get more educated, become more educated, become stronger in your resources and what you have to offer. Do this thing, build a bridge, build a bridge so that another person can come across with you. Build something so strong that it not only carries you, it not only carries your children, but it can even carry a stranger to another place, another mindset, another resource, another preference, another state of mind, another state of living that they could cross over because you have already crossed. So build a bridge so that another person can cross over with you. Because remember, each one teach one. So where do you lie? Now that 2020 is gone and is so rich in memories, so many memories, where do you stand? Where do you stand? This is what I want you to do. Anyone that's listening, let your life speak to many people. Let your life speak to many people and let your days count. Let your moments count. Let every breath count towards generational success. Let every breath count towards sustained peace. Let every moment count towards good health and prosperity. Let every moment count. Let your life speak that people will be able to speak of the number of your days with gladness. So, 2020, yes, it has definitely made us stronger. Definitely made us stronger. 2020 gave us opportunities to, whew, it gave us opportunities to clam up. Yes, it gave us opportunities to give up. 2020 presenting opportunities for us to be so scared and fearful. 2020 gave us opportunities to live in anxiety. It gave us opportunities to grieve, to be sad, and to definitely get depressed. But yet, it also allowed us to see what we are made of. I'm telling you, 2020 should have allowed you to see your own strengths and weaknesses. Also, to see what the people around you are made of. I mean, are they really got that stick to itness that you need? It lets you see what people are really made of. And it exposed how confident you are with your own strengths and how you can effectively manage your own weaknesses. We all have strengths and weaknesses. How confident you are in your own strengths and how can you manage your own weaknesses. It showed us how confident we are in the love that we can give, as well as how receptive we are with the love that we are given. In 2020 exposed how confident and stable our jobs are. It exposed how reliable our budgets is, our finances. And definitely, it exposed the strength of our relationship with Jesus. It exposed the person you are. It exposed what type of worshiper you have become. It exposed whether you need a physical church to flock to every Sunday, Wednesday, or like my first lady say, any other service that we may have. Or can you speak to God when you are alone? Can you worship God by yourself in your bathroom, in your car, in your home? Do you need a physical building to worship Him and to give God the glory? It exposed who you are. Hey, but you survived. You survived. You survived. So now I want to go back and I hope you answered that question in your personal time if you haven't already, but please write it down. What do you owe yourself? What do you owe yourself? Do you owe yourself more patience? Need to be more patient and gentle with yourself, not to be all tightly wound. Do you owe yourself more tenacity, more boldness? Do you need to show more goodwill, more affection? Do you owe yourself more self-love, just to love on yourself, to feel good about yourself? If that's feeling good about how you look, feeling good about your body type, your body size, to feel good about how God created you, do you owe yourself some kindness, some self care? Do you owe yourself a moment just to care for yourself, to soak your feet, to get your nails done, to get a fresh haircut or get your hair done, a facial, a massage? Do you owe yourself some self care? And another, do you owe yourself mental health awareness? We've been through so much, so many changes have occurred, and everyone just don't process the same way or with the same timing. So it's not bad that you can, it's not bad. It's a great thing that you can recognize that you may need to talk to a professional, someone outside of your circle, someone that may not even know you, to just talk to someone for either just a release out your mouth of the things that's bothering you or that you're battling with, or just to get more methods to move forward. So, what do you owe yourself? What do you owe yourself? What do you owe God? Oh my goodness. What do we owe God for His sustaining power? What do you owe God for keeping your family and your children and your friends safe? We can never repay Him for what He has done, but we can definitely make sure that we prioritize gratefulness and prioritize being thankful and prioritize giving him worship because he just wants our worship. He just wants us to surrender our own will and live the life that he has ordained for us to live. He just wants us to extend loving kindness to our fellow man, to share love and share the gospel. So what do you owe God for his hand, his sustaining hand over your life, watching you as you rest, watching you as you're comfortable in your home and protecting you and your family as you travel out? What do we owe God? Do you owe God anything? Can you squeeze in a little more time for him? So many lessons that we can take from 2020. But I will ask of this and declare this for everyone that's listening. May you receive a harvest. May you receive double. May you receive tenfold from the seeds of life that you sow into someone else's life this year. May you receive a harvest from the things that you will provide for someone else. May you receive an overflow from the effort that you give to help someone else. May you receive a tenfold harvest from the seeds, the good things, the deposits that you deposit into the life of a stranger. So many lessons, so many lessons, so many lessons. What do you owe yourself? What did you learn? Do you owe God? Can you give God more of you? This has been Life Notes. Life Notes, where we give useful notes for living. This is Shakita. You can listen to Life Notes every Saturday on kingdompurposeradio.com, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, kingdompurposeradio.com, where you can hear Life Notes, where we give useful notes for living. I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Connect with me or send me a message via Facebook at SJ Global or also on my website at www.sjglobal.me. If you feel led to donate to this ministry, you can donate on the website. There's a link, and also you can donate through Cash App at SJ Global. Again, SJ Global. Meanwhile, I will talk to you soon. You go about your business, checking your list, completing your goals, establishing your generational change, and do something good for yourself. We have entered into 2021 and we will make the best out of every single moment. And you be blessed.